We are here for a small claim suit. Cause number of today's case is J2V25. That's 0696. I have Faith Ward as a plaintiff. Is that you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Okay, so my car was damaged on September 21st at approximately 11 a.m. at the Watershed Car Wash. So my vehicle, I want to note that I just purchased it on September 1st, 2025. So that's 19 days before the damage occurred. Of course, as any buyer, I completed a full exterior inspection at the time of my purchase, and I was aware of every element of the vehicle. Now, I did have to return my vehicle to the place of purchase for a repair on my AC unit. And I picked up my vehicle on September 19th, 2025. So that's 2 days before this incident occurred. When you pick up your car, I did a full exterior and interior exam of my vehicle to ensure that no damage occurred while I was in their possession.
The courtroom session begins with a small claims case being called before the judge. The case number is announced, and the judge asks the plaintiff to confirm her identity. A woman named Faith Ward steps forward and confirms that she is the plaintiff in the case. The judge allows her to begin explaining the situation that brought her to court. Faith calmly starts telling the story of how her vehicle was damaged. She explains that the incident happened on September 21st around 11 a.m. at the Watershed Car Washington. According to her statement, she had only recently purchased the vehicle earlier that same month. Because the car was new to her, she had carefully inspected it at the time of purchase. She claims she knew the condition of the vehicle very well before the incident happened. The judge listens carefully as she begins presenting the timeline of events that led to the lawsuit.
Which you'll see I also provided that. So in the documentation it says vehicle condition. That is on my vehicle, signing that I picked up my vehicle, noting that there was no noticeable damage occurred during their time of service. So I submitted that.
Which document are you referencing when you said vehicle condition?
So the CarMax files, there's one that says vehicle condition, and you see my initials. And then the one before that says labor total sublet, that's where I signed. You see it's dated September 19th, 2025.
Okay, so you purchased a vehicle from CarMax, and this is just showing that, they're not indicating any damages to the vehicles, and that's what you're using as proof that your vehicle wasn't damaged at the time you purchased the vehicle. Is that right?
No, this is at the time of pickup on the 19th. So I purchased my vehicle on the 1st, took my car back to CarMax for servicing, maybe like a week later because the AC was not blowing, whatever. And so on the 19th, when I pick up my vehicle from the service department, you have to sign stating that there's no damage to your car, as for liability. Okay, so that's me saying that there's no damage. Now, so that was Friday, September 19th. Saturday, I didn't leave my house. I just stayed home. But on Sunday, I went to run errands, and the first stop was Watershed Car Wash. And I have used the facilities before with no prior issues. So I went through the car wash.
Faith explains that she purchased the vehicle on September 1st, 2025. She emphasizes that the damage happened only 19 days after she bought the car. She tells the court that, like any responsible buyer, she inspected the entire exterior of the vehicle before finalizing the purchase. She says she was fully aware of every mark and detail on the car at that time. A short time later, she had to return the vehicle to the dealership for a repair on the air conditioning system. The service department fixed the issue, and she picked the car up again on September 19th. When she received the vehicle back from service, she carefully checked both the interior and exterior again. She wanted to make sure that no damage occurred while the car was in the dealership's possession. According to her documents, the service paperwork also confirms that the vehicle had no noticeable damage at the time she picked it up.
Immediately, as normal, paid immediately after, never left the lot. I parked my vehicle and began drying it, which I'm sure is probably someone on their video. And as soon as I walked to my car, I noticed a scratch. As you can see in the images, it's not a small scratch. It is on the driver's side. It's 13 inches long. It's very noticeable. So every time you approach this car, you see this scratch. It's not on the back where you randomly don't walk to the back of your car. It's not on the passenger side. It's on the driver's side, which you will see very clearly. So I looked at it. I'm like, okay, that obviously wasn't there because I would have noticed it this morning when I got in my vehicle. So it occurred at the car wash. I went to file an incident report with the employee, and she agreed at the time, like, yeah, go ahead and file an incident report. These things do happen, but we have insurance. She said to me, these things happen, but we have insurance. Just do the claim, and the manager will speak to you in the morning. And I said, okay, no problem. I love feeling confident that we were kind of on the same page of damage occurring. So I submitted the incident report. The next day, I called Watershed Car Wash to see if the manager on duty was available. He spoke to me. It was a gentleman. I believe his name was submitted in their paperwork as Brandon, if I'm not mistaken. I spoke to him. He said that he contacted the management company who's located in, I believe, Arizona, and that they do not agree with the damage being caused at Watershed. I said, why? He said, we watched the footage and we cannot see, we see the scratch entering the car and we don't see it leaving. I said, well, can I come view the footage with you so we could be on the same page? Because if that's the case, then, then that's what happened. And I go and I look at the video with him, and he refers to the small mark, which is from opening a vehicle and hitting something. It was not addressing the scratch that was possessed at the car wash. So you'll see on their evidence, they submitted the little square around the circle. That's just from opening the vehicle and hitting something. That's not the scratch.
The plaintiff continues explaining the events that followed. She says that after picking up her car on September 19th, she spent the next day at home and did not drive anywhere. Then on Sunday morning, she decided to run some errands. Her first stop that day was the Watershed Car Washington. She explains that she had used this same location before without any problems. She paid for the wash and drove into the automated system just like every other customer. After the wash finished, she parked her vehicle in the lot to dry it off. She says she never left the property during this time. While drying the vehicle, she walked around the driver's side and suddenly noticed something alarming. There was a large scratch along the driver's side panel of the car. She immediately realized that the damage had not been there earlier that morning.
That occurred there. So I spoke to him for a while. I wasn't able to record their imaging or anything like that. So we spoke a little bit further. Talked about next options. There were no options. So I said, okay, well, I'll have to pursue legally. So I went, got an estimate, and began filing paperwork that same day. And that's where we are. And so I'm requesting the damages from the car wash.
Anything else before I move on to the defendant?
I believe that's it. And just a reassurance, no one takes pictures of their cars every day. I did look at my security cameras at home, and you can only see the front of my car. When I'm parking and arriving, you can't see, it's obviously the side. So, but on the 19th, I even called CarMax too to ensure, like, I am 100% sure of all the documentation and evidence I provided. And that's it.
So, on behalf of WCW, Ms. Marchurura?
Martirana?
Marchurana.
Yes.
It's the print is very, very small, but I'm going to remember from this point on, Ms. Marchurana. I apologize. Go ahead, Ms. Marchurana.
Okay. So I am representing Watershed Car Wash. I am the claims director. I've been in this position for 15 years. We are talking about Faith Ward, who visited our Waco 2 location on September 21st, 2020.
Describes the damage in detail to the judge. She explains that the scratch was not a small or minor mark. Instead, it was a very visible scratch approximately 13 inches long on the driver's side of the car. She emphasizes that the location of the scratch made it impossible to miss. Anyone approaching the driver's door would easily notice it. Because she had just inspected the vehicle earlier that day, she was confident that the scratch appeared during the car wash process. She immediately reported the issue to an employee working at the location. The employee told her to file an incident report and reassured her that the company had insurance for situations like this. The employee also mentioned that these kinds of incidents can sometimes happen in automated washes. Faith felt confident that the situation would be resolved properly after filing the report.
25 on Sunday. On this day, we washed 483 cars, which is about our norm. It's higher on the weekends, but 483 cars. Of those 483 cars, Miss Ward was the only one who had an incident report with a scratch. We have seen scratches where things like an antenna has been stuck in our antenna. If it gets stuck in our wrap, it is a repetitive, consistent mark on the vehicle. And it's not just 13 inches long. It's going to be from the front of the vehicle to the end of the vehicle. Wherever that wrap is, it will be the entire top of the car, it'll be the entire driver's side of the car, or it'll be the entire passenger side of the car. On this day, September 21st, of those 483 cars, again, no other cars, no other customers had an incident, no other scratches, no equipment malfunctions. It was business as normal. We do have cameras all throughout our property. Unfortunately, they're not high definition where they're going to get every scratch and nick on the vehicle. But as we were looking, from when Miss Ward entered at our pay station, we do notice the nick. Yes, we do notice. And then when we're looking at the still pictures, we won't be able to.
The next day, Faith contacted the car wash again to follow up on the incident. She spoke with a manager who said the company had reviewed their surveillance footage. According to the manager, the management team believed the scratch was already present before the vehicle entered the car wash. Faith strongly disagreed with this conclusion. She asked if she could personally review the footage with them to understand how they reached that decision. When she looked at the video, she noticed the company was pointing to a very small mark that appeared unrelated to the scratch she was reporting. She argued that the mark they highlighted was likely caused by opening a car door against something. It was not the large scratch she was complaining about. After discussing the issue further, the company refused to accept responsibility for the damage.
Fortunately, the still pictures were the scratches. We can't pick that up on our cameras. We don't have the money for that kind of quality. But you can see where the ding is. Yes. Unfortunately, there's nothing in our equipment that would cause this type of scratch. Again, if it was something that was stuck in our wraps, we take responsibility, we pay, we file it through our insurance. This isn't what we would see consistent with something that would be stuck in our wraps. Or we have no metal that sticks out and hits vehicles. We use microcell foam, which is a closed cell. It can't absorb dirt. It can't absorb water. So there's nothing really on it to scratch. That's why we are denying these claims and saying we are not responsible. Unfortunately, I have a feeling just from past that maybe she was in a parking lot and some careless, unfortunately, human being scratched her car with something. I don't know, sir. I don't know, but Watershed Car Wash did not cause these damages. It would be consistent throughout the entire side of her vehicle, as we've seen in the past with other claims.
The video that you have there, is that video of the...
Because the company denied her claim, Faith decided she had no choice but to take legal action. She went to a repair shop and obtained a professional estimate for the damage to her vehicle. After gathering her documents and evidence, she filed a lawsuit in small claims court. In court, she explains that she simply wants to be compensated for the cost of repairing the scratch. She also mentions that most people do not take photographs of their cars every single day. However, she still tried to check her home security cameras to see if the damage appeared earlier. Unfortunately, those cameras only show the front of the vehicle and not the driver's side where the scratch occurred. Even so, she believes the evidence clearly shows the damage happened at the car wash.
Vehicle before the wash and after the wash?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'll just, based on your answer, it says that it is seen on the cameras before she enters our tunnel to get the car wash. She has a scratch on her driver's side. So your video is going to show that she already has a scratch on the driver's side in the same location.
Yeah, that big nick.
And then it says, all right, passenger door extending back to her gap. So your video is going to show the same scratch that she's displaying to us.
Yes, and the big white nick that's in it. That's why our district managers looked over the video and they squared it out for you so you can see it.
Okay, well let's take a look at the video.
Of course. Do I have access or do I got to share my screen?
Just share your screen.
Can you see it?
All right, stop there. See, could you pause it?
Uh-huh.
What am I looking for?
It's not until right here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Hang on, sir. You can see the big white scratch in the crease of the vehicle between the passenger door and the body of the frame. I'd have to still it. If you want me to do that, you can actually see it right there. It's coming across by the gas station.
That's the scratches of where the door handle is.
Plaintiff finishes speaking. The judge turns to the defense. A representative from Watershed Car Wash introduces herself as the company's claims director. She explains that she has been working in that role for 15 years. According to her records, Faith Ward visited the Waco location of the car wash on September 21st. On that day, the facility washed approximately 483 vehicles. The representative points out that this number is typical for a busy weekend. However, she emphasizes that out of all those vehicles, Faith Ward was the only customer who reported damage. She explains that if the car wash equipment had caused the scratch, other vehicles would likely have been damaged as well. Since there were no other complaints or incident reports, the company believes the equipment was working.
Is that what you're talking about?
It's below that. Yeah, it's right here. And that's why they squared out the picture and took the still pictures for you so you could see where it was. Because again, the angle of this camera isn't directly right at the car. So you're not going to be able to see it unless you pause, play, pause, play, pause, play. That's what we did. And that's why we have those still pictures for you that we supplied.
So with that email, you also submitted the still enlarged pictures. These are yours.
Yes, sir. On that Google Drive, everything on there is Watershed's evidence. It's all from our surveillance cameras, from our employees. This is our normal process for all 36 locations.
This is what was shared with the plaintiff as well, is what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor. And I understand, she just purchased this vehicle. We have to understand it's a used vehicle. It's not a brand new vehicle. It might be brand new to Miss Ward, which I understand, but it's not a brand new vehicle off the lot. When you buy a new vehicle, like she said, she had just bought in that vehicle, every dealership you can go, they detail your car, they put a nice thing of wax over it. They make it look beautiful. It's like makeup that females use. We put concealer, primer, all that stuff to cover up our faces. It's the same thing with a car. After you wash it so many times, the chemicals, everything breaks down. It's just like makeup. And if you don't constantly do this clear coat and compound wax your vehicle, all those scratches, they're all going to resurface. They all show. It's just like makeup. You wash your face, it all comes back. You can see everything. It's the same thing with a car. I'm having a feeling this was maybe there or it just happened, within these 2 days. I don't know, sir, but I can guarantee you it did not happen at Watershed Car Wash. It would be a consistent line and it would be a straight line.
You have, I don't know if you can, provide that, saying that you work in the claims department. Do you have any pictures of other vehicles that may have been damaged through by Watershed that would be consistent with your statement that, you can stop sharing your screen and then, find a pic. That way you can, kind of compare what she's showing versus what, you paid for in the past.
Yeah, give me just a moment, please.
And while you're doing that, we're just gonna take a quick recess. I'll give you about 5 minutes or so to, find, a picture that would.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
For both of you in the waiting room. All right, court's now back in session. Ms. Marturana.
The defense also explains how scratches normally occur in automated car washes. Sometimes objects like antennas can become stuck in the rotating brushes of the machine. When that happens, the object can drag across the surface of a vehicle. However, This usually creates long, continuous scratches that run across the entire length of the vehicle. In contrast, the scratch on Faith's car was only about 13 inches long and located in one small section. The representative also explains that the car wash uses special foam materials designed not to trap dirt or debris. These materials are specifically chosen to reduce the risk of scratching vehicles. Because of these design features, the company believes it is extremely unlikely that their equipment caused the damage described by the plaintiff.
Give you the opportunity to show me something that will be consistent with your statement in regards to damages to vehicles in the past.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is one where we had an antenna stuck in our wrap. As you can see, it goes the entire length of even the windshield, the vehicle, all the way to the back of the truck bed. That's one we did have to pay for those damages, as you can see. We also had another one where we had the same issue. Something was caught in our brush. Again, it's the same consistent pattern you're going to see throughout the entire vehicle. And yes, normally the windshield does get cracked, unfortunately. But it's a consistent pattern, and you'll see it all throughout the vehicle. Unfortunately, with Mrs. Ward's, it's only in this one section. That's why we are denying this claim.
Okay. And then Ms. Ward's is on the driver's side rear, and those illustrations, those are more on the hood, having more top damage.
That was in a top brush, and as you can tell, it's all the way from the hood all the way to the very end of the truck. Those were both trucks. I mean, you will see a consistent pattern when you look at the vehicle of where the revolutions per minute on the wraps, they go about 90 per minute. You can see it right when it hits the car because those just go smoothly over your vehicle. But if there's something caught in the wrap, it's going to hit the vehicle.
The judge then reviews the surveillance footage submitted by the car wash company. According to the defense, the video shows the scratch already visible before the car enters the wash tunnel. They claim the mark can be seen near the driver's side door area. However, when the judge carefully examines the footage, the image quality makes it difficult to clearly confirm this claim. The camera angle is not directly focused on the side of the vehicle. Because of this, it is hard to determine whether the scratch was present before the wash or appeared afterward. Even after watching the video in slow motion, the judge cannot clearly see the damage. This uncertainty becomes an important factor in the final decision.
At all different times, as long as the wrap is going over the vehicle. With Mrs. Ward's, that would have been a side wrap, and if we would have had a antenna, which is our normal thing we have in these wraps, again, you would see it from the very beginning, the very front of her driver's side vehicle, from the front light all the way to the very, very end. And it would be a consistent pattern. It wouldn't just be 13 inches straight on a vehicle.
Okay. Ms. Ward, whenever you got these estimates, the salesperson or the agent you spoke with, did they say this was common in regards to vehicles?
He did, and I didn't want to bring that up because I didn't want to do hearsay or anything. But I asked him is this consistent for what you've seen? He said he has seen all types of things for just a rock. He said a rock can shoot up and hit your car during the thing because of the spins. It can be antennas, but how deep it was, he was certain that it was from the car wash. And that guy, I'm sure his name is on here somewhere. David, I actually wrote it down. David Arduna is who I spoke with. And can I mention one thing?
Go ahead.
I do want to state too, as per their policies, after I reported it, they stopped the car washes and did a full inspection of the machines. So any cars after me, I don't know how many went after me between that and that inspection, because obviously I wasn't paying attention at the time. They could have resolved it or could have seen something, not seen something. If there was a rock, it could have fallen. There's a stick or whatever, it could have fallen and have stopped and damages.
So I can understand both ends. I can understand you, Miss Martirana. It's difficult for you to say yes, we did it based on the information that you have. And I actually I watched the video that you submitted. I watched it in slow motion, and this was not the one that I watched both. The one where the young lady was paying, the plaintiff was paying, and I didn't see anything noticeable there. And then also, whenever the young man was guiding her in, I saw a reflection, but it's real hard for me to tell if the damage was there before or not. I don't know. It's a toss up. Um, wow.
And Your Honor, yes, after an incident report, as Ms. Ward stated, we always shut the car wash down for at least 5 minutes, and we go in and we check all of the wraps, because a scratch like that is not something we ever see coming from the car wash, again, unless there's an antenna or something stuck in the wrap, and it's not normally just one card because it gets tangled in there and we can hear it. The manager even asked the gentleman who was loading Miss Ward in if he heard anything. No. Yeah, and there's nothing, we do stop it, we do walk the tunnel. There's just nothing in our tunnel that has that kind of sharp of an edge. We would be damaging more cars than just this one. We wouldn't be in business.
I just it's so here's a problem. In all civil cases, it's up to the plaintiff to prove to the court by a preponderance of evidence that something happened, to prove their case. And then the defendant has the...
We're hearing both sides of the argument. The judge explains the legal standard used in civil cases. The plaintiff must prove her case using a preponderance of evidence. In this situation, Faith presented documents showing that her vehicle had no damage shortly before the incident. She also reported the scratch immediately after leaving the car wash. On the other hand, the defense was unable to provide clear video evidence proving the scratch existed before the wash. Because the surveillance footage was unclear, the judge determined that the plaintiff's evidence was stronger. As a result, the court ruled in favor of Faith Ward. The judge ordered that she be compensated for the damages to her vehicle. The car wash company was informed that it still has the